Alright guys, so we got decimal forms of fractions and mixed numbers. So what that means basically is we're going to be taking fractions and mixed numbers and changing them into decimals, and then taking decimals and changing them into fractions and mixed numbers. Alright, so we got a couple things we need to define first. Terminating decimal. That means that the digit or digits in the quotient end and there is no remainder. So it just ends evenly, no remainder. Repeating decimal means that the digits in the quotient repeat. So every time you do the division, it's like 3, and then 3, and then 3, and then 3, over and over again. That would be repeating. So let's do some problems. Alright, so we got 8/10. What we need to do is put that in a fraction, and then simplify that fraction. So this is 8/10, so we already know that that is 8/10, right? 8/10 equals 8/10. Simplify. You can divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4/5. Done deal. Don't like that pin. Alright. Next one. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit more difficult. We have a whole number, and that whole number is going to stay 3. We're not going to even mess with it or do anything to it. And basically what we're going to have is a mixed number then, with a whole number and a fraction. So 125. So, or 125 thousandths. I need to put that in a fraction form. So, tenths, hundred thousandths. So I need 1,000 underneath. Now I need to simplify. So I'm going to think in quarters, because it's 25. And so I'm going to divide by 25, divide by 25. Now I got to figure out what that is. 4 quarters equals $1, plus another quarter, that's 5. Now I got 1,000. So basically, I can do the division, which would be 1,000 divided by 25, which I believe is 40. That would be 100, 0, 0, yeah, it's 40. Now I got to simplify that even more. Divide by 5. And I'm going to get 1/8. Okay, so this should be familiar. This should be kind of like lesson we did two lessons before this, where we were taking basically decimals and fractions and exchanging them back and forth, making these into fractions like this, and then taking fractions and making them into decimals. Same kind of idea here. Hold on, I just found out I made a mistake right here. I got that 1/8, but I can't forget about this 3, that whole number. So my answer is actually 3 1/8. Can't forget that whole number. I got to put it right there, whole number, and then the 1/8 is my 125 thousandths. Let's do the next one. So 2's the whole number. Leave that alone. We got 75 hundredths. Let's do 25 again. Quarters. 4 quarters. 3 quarters. All right, we got 3/4. Now we got to put that whole number back in it. So we got 2 and 3. Whoops, 3/4. There's my answer. Okay, 75 hundredths, so it's over 100. Simplify 3/4, put that whole number back in and make it a mixed number, 2 3/4. Okay, only thing that's different here between the second lesson where we were changing fractions to decimals and decimal to fractions is we didn't have whole numbers. So the only difference here is that you're doing the same thing that we did by changing the decimal into a fraction and simplifying it, but now we have whole numbers, so all you do is add that to make it a mixed number. That's the only difference here. Alright, so now let's take a look at the other way, which is having fractions and putting them into decimals. Remember, there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can do the division, 7 divided by 10, or you can do it based off tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this equals 7/10. Or if I did the division, 7/10. Either way. 7/10. 7/10. Alright, here is where it gets a little bit more tricky, I guess, in a way. We have the whole number, the mixed fraction, or mixed numbers. So, you're going to just do the same thing that we've done. You're going to leave that whole number alone, and you're going to focus on this right here, 5/8. So you can try and make this into 100 or 1,000 or 10, or you can just do the division. 5 divided by 8. 8 goes into 50. Well, 8 times 6 is 48. We get 2, 0. Can 8 go into 20? 2 times 16. And then we're going to get a 40, which would be 5. So now our decimal is 0.625, or 625 thousandths. And now that whole number has to then come over here. The whole number is the whole number, so it's 1 and 625 thousandths. The 1 is the 1. The 5/8 into a decimal is 625 thousandths. Let's do another one. I'm going to erase this. Remember, whole numbers, we leave that alone. Look at the 5/9. 5 divided by 9 into 50. Well, 9 times 5 is 45. Subtract. We get 50 again. So that means I'm going to do a 5 again, and I'm going to get 50 again. So here's that repeating part, that repeating decimal. So my decimal is 0.5. I can put 5 again if I'd like, and it's repeating. You can put a line over the 1, you can put a line over both, either way. Now that whole number just comes on over. 4. 4 and 55 hundredths with the repeating line over the top. So, real quick, we're doing the same thing we did a couple topics ago where we changed decimals to fractions and fractions to decimals. The only difference is we're adding in the whole number afterwards. Whole number just moves over and bam, 1 and 625 thousandths. Okay? The decimals, we do the same thing we've been doing with decimals and fractions by changing them back and forth. The whole number just follows along. We don't do anything to the whole number, it just follows along. Like the 1 and the 4. Questions? Write them down, and I will help you in class.